Here we go. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Thursday night with the American Sci-Fi Classics Track. Your pals from the Dragon Con and from all of the surrounding geeky realms. We like doing these now because you can't leave your homes anymore, and to see other humans, it's really just not safe at all. To see humans, it's the humans' fault.
Yes.
So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the nerdiness to your computers right now. And to do that, what we do is we assemble geeks and nerds, a gaggle of geeks from surrounding galaxies. And tonight we are going to talk about underwater sci-fi things. And to do so, we have one of our longtime favorites. For you've seen her a million times in live action at Dragon Con, Jessa Phillips.
No, yes. Still in live action, just through a small screen.
Exactly, just on the small screen. See,
I was waiting for my big break. Here it is.
Finally. And one internet south of Jessa, my co-director at the American Sci-Fi Classics Track, Mr. Gary Mitchell.
Greetings, everyone. I have been told I've been all wet for years, so it's about time we went and talked about it.
And introducing, making his debut on the internet, I don't know if that's true. This is a long time. Yeah. This is a longtime friend of ours, one of the super geekiest people, and I've been bugging him to death to get him to do things for a couple of decades, let's say. And
you and my wife.
See, we've been
Wait, so Joe is your wife?
Me and Price's wife are co-conspirators in that regard. But we are excited to have you here, sir. Let's talk about nerdy stuff for about an hour, and then stop, and then leave, and never discuss it again. So tonight is what I thought we would do is just kind of go around the horn and talk about that thing I said. So Jessa, go.
Yeah, well, since this panel was her suggestion, it should be her who starts.
Yes, thank you. This is going to be a lot easier than last week, where we had 8 competitors on the panel, and I attempted to go alphabetically, and I failed because I'm from Alabama. So alphabetically, nope. Jessa, go.
I don't recall how this became my idea, but I am a big fan of underwater sci-fi movies. The Abyss is one of my absolute favorite movies of all time, and I've seen it countless numbers of times since then. And then, I think Gary and I were just sitting watching something, and it just occurred to me, hey, there are all these lovely sci-fi things that happen underwater. Let's make a go of it. And I think I started my own little mini marathon and had to watch them all.
Forget exactly what it was we were watching, but I mentioned Deep Star 60. You went, I've never seen that. And you immediately went and found it.
Yep.
Okay. How did you find Deep Star 6?
I think it's streaming on Amazon right now.
Okay.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a weird time, 1989, because everyone knows Hollywood likes to go in phases. Like all the alien invasion movies will come out about the same time. We got Armageddon and Deep Impact at the same time. And in 1998 or 1989, everybody decided, let's go underwater.
We've done everything else. Now let's.
We've been there before, briefly, in other things, but just to have that 1 year with like 3 just breakout movies.
Yeah.
We'll go with that, sure.
And yet that
two of
year
them
we got
derivative of one
Batman
another.
instead of Aquaman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on, Warner Brothers.
Why?
Handed it to you on a platter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
Yeah, because
look,
if I'm not mistaken, I think that The Abyss got the green light first, which was the new Jim Cameron project that everybody was excited about. And that's what spurred Deep Star 6 and Leviathan to get rushed. And Deep Star 6 actually made it out first. It came out in January. So let's talk about that one.
let's talk about that one. Who is in Deep Star 6?
Let's see here. It's got Nina Peebles, so it's very 80s.
Sure.
Greg Evigan. Miguel Ferrer is the big name for me. He was the biggest guy in the movie.
BJ's not the biggest guy, Gary. How dare you, sir?
You had me at Evigan.
Yes. Nancy Everhart is in it, and then a whole bunch of other people.
Those other people.
The Nancy Everhart?
Yes, the Nancy Everhart.
Okay.
Everhard. Sorry.
So, tell us.
and it had that guy from Thomas Bray. He was on. Now I can't remember. He was on that '80s show with the giant pink helicopter.
Riptide.
Yes,
Thank
Riptide.
you.
That must be why they got him. He was like, he's already water related.
That's
The Screaming Mimi was the name of the helicopter.
nice.
See,
Price.
this is why you were here, sir.
I
This is
knew
why you were
there was a
here.
reason.
I don't know my kids' birthdays.
Well, you have more important information in there.
That's, but I don't remember anything about this movie.
Okay, well, they're all pretty much the same basic
Sure.
bare bones plot of we have a base underwater doing something, usually minors, not as in digging, not as in underage children. And they come across something that doesn't want to be come across. Now, Jessa, you just watched it, so what did you think of it?
I thought it was interesting.
No.
Ringing endorsement.
I wouldn't say that it necessarily ages well. It feels like it's time, especially when you compare it to the other two from the same year. It feels a little dated, but it was still lovely. They try to inject a little bit of humor and get a little bit of camaraderie going, like we do with most of these, crew-based missions. For me, sort of the laughable thing is later on when we get to the creature.
Okay.
Because creature effects weren't, what they were. They did great for what they had at the time.
At the time.
Yes.
So was this the thing, the creature kills everybody one at a time?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. They come up with more and more
BJ
bad
survive?
ideas for reasons for people to go out in the water where the monster is, where if everybody just stayed inside.
Don't do that.
But I think this is the only one that is an actual creature from, if I recall correctly. Again, I've watched the others since then. Whereas the others, we're going to get into more scientific or extraterrestrial creatures. I believe this one is actually native to the sea.
Okay.
Someone can correct me if I am wrong about that.
They probably will. They probably will.
Yeah,
I have not
it's
seen this movie since it came out. So you could take it and Leviathan and switch their VHS boxes and play them. I would have I wouldn't know the difference. I honestly don't remember.
Yeah.
I remember seeing them and then immediately forgetting everything about them like the second they were over.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I think this one they actually discover like a cave underwater. Just of course we can breathe. Why not?
Don't go in the cave.
So somehow this creature has been living there, I assume, for God knows how long. So
Yeah, it has the Piranha 3D plot of these creatures were sealed off, and then of course we came down there and cracked the earth open and let out the thing.
Don't do that.
The main thing I remember, the main thing I remember from it, both from the movie and the trailers, was they had the big diving suit and the moon pool, which if you don't know what that is, that's the water where they can get in and out. They don't have to do the airlock thing.
Oh.
And they're pulling the suit up and there's somebody in it and they're screaming, and then all of a sudden it comes out of the water and like the lower half of the suit is gone because the monster's eaten them.
Nice.
It went on to become the poster.
Awesome.
And Sherman Burris, I believe you are correct that it was, I think, an arthropod. And we have a question from Wotaj, if I'm saying that correctly, of who would win in a fight, Deep Star 6 or Deep Space Nine?
Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space Nine because it's 3 more than 6.
This is tough.
Supposedly, we've killed off this creature, maybe. But it was prehistoric. It's been surviving for millennia, so who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Could be the cockroach of the sea.
Could be. But I give the producers credit for cranking the movie out as quick as they did to get ahead of everybody.
So what about Leviathan? Because I remember Deep Star 6, nothing about Leviathan.
Leviathan was the one I actually preferred of the two. Abyss is like on a whole other continental shelf.
Because the ocean.
That's right. But it's the one with Amanda Pays, Peter Weller, Ernie Hudson, Richard Crenna, Daniel Stern. I mean, it's packed.
Man, this is
Hector Alonso,
RoboCop, and a Ghostbuster.
Mm-hmm. And everyone's favorite lady from the 80s with the weird silver eyes, Meg Foster, who Peter Weller punches out at one point in the movie.
What?
That's problematic.
I mean, you do have to sit through the whole movie to get there, but
yeah,
like your reward.
Yes, problematic. So what?
But the plot in this one is almost exactly the same. Peter Weller runs a crew of rough and tumble, blue collar, which that's the same problem I've kind of got with Armageddon. We got a whole bunch of how can you be blue collar running high end submarine equipment? You have to be on college levels to be running some of this stuff. But they're all rough and tumble doing underwater mining, and they stumble across a sunken Russian ship which was doing weird experiments to try to come up with a hybrid human that could be a soldier underwater.
Okay.
Yeah, it does not. Yeah, it did not go well. The Russians sank the ship to kill the thing, and spoiler alert, didn't kill it. But it's really cool. I mean, it's got that great cast. Stan Winston did the creature effects, and the monster is this weird. They did a lot of study of actual sea creatures to try to get something that looked plausible. But at the same time, it has bits of the thing where as the monster kills people, it absorbs them. So near the end of the movie, you got this thing walking around with Daniel Stern's face sticking out over here and some lady's face sticking out over here.
Nice. That's distressing.
Yeah.
It gives a whole new meaning to the wet bandit.
Yes.
See?
Remember Daniel Stern from Home Alone?
Yes.
He's a very wet bandit.
Yes.
So, are we, I think, in agreement that the Abyss is the superior of the three?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Hard to argue with that.
The other two are strictly C to B level. Leviathan's more B than C. So, like I said, if you're going to watch these three, watch The Abyss. If you're going to watch two of them, watch The Abyss twice.
But here's the thing, though, is that somehow, right, so the producer of Deep Star 6 wasn't entirely happy and decided to make another inspired by movie the following year called The Rift.
That I remember.
Yeah. So,
I
mean, The Abyss doesn't really have that.
Yeah. And Sherman, you are correct. RoboCop punched out Evil Lynn.
See, Meg Foster, man. Why? What's happening? So let's go. Let's move to the abyss, so to speak.
Now, the Abyss is the one because it was actually filmed underwater. Where Leviathan, they did the dry for wet, where they were actually just walking around in a smoke-filled room, and they had this like little bits of plastic on blowers that would move around, so you had stuff moving around them like they were in water. So they were really clever on how they did that, but Jim Cameron went, no, screw that. We're actually going underwater.
I mean, he does have a love affair with water. So
I feel like if you're Jim Cameron, you're going to just go underwater. Or like, oh, do we not have to film underwater? No, we're doing it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You need me to invent some tech for this? I got it. No problem. Like, give me an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
So the Abyss was legit underwater.
Yeah, they built like, what was it, 600 million gallon. It was a huge tank. It was basically used to be a cooling reactor.
Oh,
water
sure.
tank.
Let's
Didn't
get
know
lots
that.
of human people in there. And there used to be nuclear stuff. Sure, let's go ahead and that's a good idea.
It's right on target for the movie.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, our friend Sherman. It was filmed in his home state.
Oh, sweet. Yep, nuclear power plant. Yep. Here we go. I found the stats. I just had it. 7.5 million gallons of water is how much it held. 55 feet deep, 209 feet across.
Oh.
It was the largest freshwater filtered tank in the world.
Filming in an abandoned nuclear plant, I feel like that's the start of a whole movie itself.
Right.
Like a horror movie. There's so much that could go wrong.
I could see, I can actually see this movie. We have a Stanley Kubrick style crazed director who's like, my movie's going to have a real sea monster.
Mm-hmm. And if it's one thing that Hollywood loves, it's movies about movies. This is a guaranteed critical darling. Just saying.
Yes.
Just saying. Put a pin in it. We'll circle back.
Well, thank you, Rocky.
Well, I don't know if anybody else had the same feeling, but this was the only movie where I really remembered characters. It sticks with you. Never mind the whole ecological message we're going to, I'm sure. Or that we actually do introduce extraterrestrial influences. But even like the side characters, some of them still stick with you. Of course, they won't all, but I'm a huge One Night fan. Of course. Well, and also, can we just say, for my own benefit, one thing I do really appreciate about all of these movies, and I think Gary and I have had this conversation before, is that for some reason, we have a difficult time with diversity in movies, but somehow, maybe the 90s kind of did it. I mean, sure, in a kind of backhanded way, but at least there was representation. And in something like The Abyss or Deep Star 6 or Leviathan, I mean, you've got strong women who are good at their job. And in the case of The Abyss, I mean, she built the entire structure. She is the one they have to call in, sort of get things back under control and make sure everyone's safe.
I liked. Let's. Gosh, well, I've lost my train of thought entirely. The Abyss. Price thoughts.
All right. Yeah, I remember seeing this movie in the theater back in the day, and it just completely blowing my mind. Like, this was one of those movies that, this was still, I want to say, relatively, well, I guess the VHS revolution had started. We were a few years into it, but this is one of those movies where I walked out, I'm like, as soon as this is available, I'm buying it. I don't care how much it is. And this was back when like VHS tapes cost like $80.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
But yeah, I mean, it blew my mind. sort of very early kind of computer generated like technology with the weird, what do you call it, the extraterrestrial tube water
the
tube
morphing,
thing.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
With people's faces and moving. I mean, that was new, and it just looked amazing. And all the characters were so vivid. The action was awesome. There was funny parts to it. Like I said, the action was great. That it felt real in a lot of ways. Like just the way the characters interacted with each other, the way the platform that they're working on, things, the way in Star Wars, how things are worn down and look used, everything. This did too. Everything wasn't pristine and clean. It looked like something where a bunch of, roughnecks are working, doing dirty jobs. And it really looked, it looked lived in. It looked real. And the relationship between people, you could tell that these are people that have been working together for a long time, and there was their interactions it just felt natural. It felt real. It didn't feel like you were watching this bogus movie that's trying to check all these boxes, and you got the quirky character here, and you know what I'm saying. Of course there were quirky characters in there. I apologize, my lighting is kind of weird here. There were quirky characters in the movie. That jittery Beastie Boy looking guy with the rat. Remember? He just reminded me like the fourth Beastie Boy, for whatever reason.
The Lost Beastie Boy.
The Lost Beastie Boy. But what was interesting about that movie is growing up. I grew up in the South. I grew up in Arkansas, and being a geek. Being into geeky things, I felt like you weren't really understood. I felt like my parents never really kind of got me. But when they watched The Abyss, they loved it. My parents, the olds, who were younger then than I am now, by the way, but they loved it. They ate it up. They watched it over and over. They loved that movie.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Well, and part of it is like you were saying, the characterization, because I think it was Orson Scott Card wrote the novelization from the script before the movie came out while they were still filming. And he actually came up with a lot of the backstory for these characters, and they actually gave that to the actors. Like Ed Harris and Mary Elizabeth were actually carrying around pages of the book.
Check it out.
And so that informed they knew their history of these characters before this all happened. They didn't just, start existing when the movie started.
That is the only example I've ever heard of the novelization influencing the film. Come on. I love it.
And it's really well done. Lot, like you said, lots of backstory. And it's, of course, it's faithful to the film, and it actually uses the lines from the film, but he fills in all kinds of stuff. It's really well done.
Yeah.
We got to get Price. What we'll do is a couple of times we've had episodes of this where we just read from movie novelizations. I feel like we got to come back and we got to read from the Abyss novelization now.
Mm-hmm. And we'll talk. If I'm saying this wrong, please let me know. But Wotage points out that the watery tentacle was called the pseudopod.
That sounds right. Yep.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And Lola asked, which was the one where someone gets crushed by an elevator? I'm pretty sure that was Leviathan, and that's because they almost killed Edward Alonso making the movie with an elevator. What? Or Hector Alonso. He was in the suit, which that's another thing I love about all three of these movies. Everybody got fascinated with those giant diving suits.
Sure.
They're like these underwater space suits. And for Leviathan, Stan Winston ended up taking over the development of those. Another company was making them, and the director went, "No, I hate it." And so Stan went, "I'll do it. I'm already here." And there's this giant elevator thing that the suits are in a circle configuration. It goes down to let them out into the water. and they had Hector in his suit, and one of the stagehands hit the wrong button, and instead of doing this, it started doing this and actually crushed the suit, and they managed to barely stop it in time to keep it from crushing him too.
Oh my God. Louise. Now, if
so it's like, I love this movie, but I don't want it to kill me.
If you're gonna be killed,
faces of death.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be killed on one of these three movies, I gotta say, I would hope it would be The Abyss.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to have in my obituary, well, he was killed on Deep Star 6 with BJ. But now, if he was killed because Peter Weller punched me, okay, that's fine.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah.
What a way to go!
What a way to go! So let's go beyond the title of our thing with those three that we've talked about. There are others where the undersea realms were a big deal. The first one that I really want to talk about is Deep Blue Sea with LL Cool J.
That's the one I thought you'd pick.
Yes.
I love that movie.
I first saw this movie when back in 99 or 2000,
99,
when we had just launched Zealot.com, which was the precursor to Revolution SF, which was the precursor to the American Sci-Fi Classics Track. So 2 geeky things ago, that and 2 decades, I went to Deep Blue Sea specifically to write a scholarly review for our little sci-fi website. And it blew me away because it had smart sharks, or as I like to call them, smarks. It was an underwater station like the previous 3 things that we talked about, and LL Cool J was in it, which automatically made it great.
Mm-hmm.
And he rapped like he does, him being walking with a panther like LL Cool J. He's bad. He's
got cool right in his name.
Yeah.
It's right in his name.
It's right there. Ladies love Cool J.
Yeah, they won't let you be cool. Take the name Cool if you're not cool.
No, he's the coolest. But he's in it, and infamously, Samuel L. Jackson is in it for about 15 minutes. If that.
I mean, it's the best appearance of Samuel L. Jackson you could hope for in this movie. I really the man survives a mountain crash, possibly eating companions, only to be taken out.
This was right after, I guess this was a few years after Pulp Fiction, and I think
this was when he was really the rocket had hit his.
And this was amidst the Star Wars prequels. So he was, Mace Windu. He was all over the place, and then
we were at Pete Jackson.
Yes, he said the whole reason he took the role was because of that death in the middle, and that it came out of nowhere.
And he's the one giving the inspirational speech about how we're going to get out of here in the second.
Well, and it's go ahead, Price.
We were just sitting around watching it and enjoying it and everything. And when that happened, we all basically fell out of our chairs. I mean, we were screaming. It was one of the greatest cinematic moments I have ever experienced. I'm not even joking. It had an impact. It had a real impact.
The last thing you expect is that Samuel L. Jackson is like, they paid all this money for him. Like, and he's the big boss, but okay.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
wow.
and especially because it's Samuel Jackson gives a speech like nobody's business. And that is one hell of a speech he's giving. And you can see he's building them around. Everybody's like, yeah, we're going to do this. And then and you see everybody. And I love the one guy, I think it's Michael Rappaport, his reaction of, okay, that's it. No, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
I mean, it's so iconic that what is the commercial he's in now where they sort of mimic it again? It's for internet speed or something.
Yeah, and it takes a long time for me to.
I can't remember what it's for.
But yes, and that commercial references Deep Blue Sea. How does that happen?
All these years later, we're still like...
All these years later, and who knew that this thing, well, clearly it had an impact on us, but who knew that it had such an impact that we're going to put it in a Super Bowl commercial? That when the people that watch, the four of us, and I don't know, one or two other people are going to go, Deep Blue Sea, when they see that.
And that was also like the first time I noticed Thomas.
Yes, the right people, exactly.
Yeah, and like that's the first time I really started paying attention to Thomas Jane. I kept confusing him. I was like, who's this Christopher Lambert knockoff? And then I saw him in this, and I was like, okay, he's somebody to pay attention to.
There can be only one Christopher Lambert.
That's true.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's my contribution for the night. Good night, everyone.
Yes.
Good night, everyone.
But yeah, it's a fun movie. The shark science is all complete baloney, but it's also got one of the Skarsgårds is in it.
Yeah,
it's got some great scenes. I love the fact that the sharks are jerks. They're smart. I mean, there's
fight.
Yes. When Skarsgård gets his arm bitten off. Spoiler alert! And they're medevacing him out. And he's strapped to the gurney, which falls into the water, and the shark grabs the gurney and swims going full speed at that big window and looses him at it like a bullet. And you could just see the look on his face of like, really? This is how I'm going to die?
Worst ways to go.
Yeah.
I wanted 4 more of these movies, of these Deep Blue Sea movies.
And you got them.
With LL
Blue Sea.
I wanted LL Cool J underwater again, and him just saying, "Seriously, why?"
I don't know that we could have done another, immortalized goodbye message about how to make an omelet. I don't know.
Agreed.
Too deep, too sea. I'm just trying to think of all the
too deep,
titles.
too sea. There we go.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
Deep Blue Sea, Deep Harder. I don't know.
Deep Harder.
Working Blue, Deep Sea, the porn knockoff.
The Smarkening, Deep Blue Sea 2, since the smarks are even smarkier.
Mm-hmm. You see, this is why Hollywood needs to hire us, because they've gone so far with just the titles of Deep Blue Sea 2, Deep Blue Sea 3. Come on, put some effort
Anybody
into
can
it.
slap a number on it.
So
it should be. It should be Deep Blue 3.
Come on!
See, this guy gets it. This guy gets it.
I am a known it getter.
So, Jessa, what's another undersea related flick that you?
I love to hate it. I'm gonna go with Sphere, which by all rights should have been good. But I can always appreciate a film got made. And you included Dustin Hoffman, and again
Samuel L. Jackson.
What has he done?
But it also brings in classic literature, so why not? Plus a bit of alien influence.
Now, I didn't know this. Lacey in the chat room says that Deep Blue Sea, much like Abyss and Leviathan and Deep Star 6, Deep Blue Sea and 2 other underwater movies all came out in the same year. Sphere, which you just mentioned, and Deep Rising.
I love Deep Rising.
Spoiler alert! Thank you for in the title, but what? Yeah, tell us about Sphere, Jessa.
So for some reason, sorry guys, I can't see you. My computer has like completely.
Oh.
My computer doesn't like the panelists as much as as I do. I'm sorry.
Yes, Sherman. Sharon Stone was in it.
Yes. So I forget why they're actually there, but I always get picked up where they have to go and get Dustin Hoffman because they need to call him in for his expertise. Actually, with Sharon Stone, because they had a relationship. He used to be her psychologist, and you need to make sure that she's going to be safe under the sea. But yeah, I completely forget why they're there.
There was some sort of alien artifact, wasn't there? The sphere.
Yeah.
Artifact.
But the thing is, right? We don't know what the sphere is, where it came from. But as we go on to this craft, we sort of discover that it comes from elsewhere. We don't know exactly what the sphere does, but gradually over the course of time, people find themselves interacting with it, perhaps swallowed by it. We don't know exactly what happens to them, but somehow they are changed. And the whole time they are talking to what they think is sort of an AI or some sort of sentient being through the computer. But the big thing is, the big reveal is they've somehow mistranslated the coding. So, that G, I think it's the letter G, that's off, and somehow it all circles back to what's happening.
Yeah,
but
they all start getting weird psionic powers, kind of.
Oh, okay. I don't know that I have seen this, but can I say this? Is this the most difficult to pronounce title in any sci-fi movie?
Too many consonants all shoved in together there.
Yeah. Why?
Sphere.
Your mouth just doesn't want to make the.
It doesn't. It doesn't. In math, when you have to say that word, it's embarrassing. And now here it is, and they're saying it 38 times amidst the movie.
Yeah. And the main thing I remember, it's based on a Michael Crichton novel, and this was after Jurassic Park had been done, and Rising Sun and Congo. So it was in that whole mad rush of, well, Jurassic Park made a crap ton of money. What other Crichton books can we do? And the quality just kind of does a slide.
This is 100% off topic, but here we go, and I'll try to circle back around. The Rising Sun, I watched at a bachelor party. Not fun. Why? My friends get it.
So hot, you guys. So hot.
Hey, look, Sean Connery.
And look, we weren't 50 like I am now. we were in our 20s, and we still watched Rising Sun for the dude's bachelor party. What was happening?
No better way to say goodbye to single life than a mediocre Michael Crichton film. There's
what seemed like
blazingly racist Michael Crichton novel.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other show.
That's a whole other thing. Okay, so back to underwater things.
Deep Rising. Deep Rising was one of the first movies by Stephen Sommers, who would go on to do The Mummy after this. This was his proving ground. It's got Treat Williams, Famke Jensen, Kevin J. O'Connor, who was Stephen Sommers' Lucky Charm for a while. Nice. Wes Studi is in it. The guy who was Kano in the Mortal Kombat movie, Digimon Hansu, is in it, one of his early roles. And the plot is real simple. A group of mercs hire Treat Williams, who has his own private boat in the South Seas, to take them out to this ocean liner, which, Treat Williams doesn't know this, but these people are criminals that are planning to rob the casino on the ocean liner. And when they get to the ocean liner, it's supposed to just be stopped because the guy on board stopped the engine so that it was easy to get on board, get the money, and get out. And they get there, and unfortunately, they stopped over the part of the ocean where this weird giant tentacle monster lives. So when they get to when the ship gets stopped, it wakes up the thing, it eats everybody on the boat, and then when Treat Williams and the bad guys show up, they're like, "Why is everybody on this boat dead?" And they start picked off one by one. It is a fun little monster movie. It's alien. It's goopy. It's the right level of self-aware fun that if you haven't watched it, you should totally check it out.
That's awesome. I feel like Deep Rising now has I got to see that now. It's one of the movies I probably saw, but I have no recollection of it.
Yeah, Scream Factory has a wonderful anniversary edition, well worth picking up on Blu-ray.
And I don't know if I saw it. I guess I would have remembered it had I watched it at a bachelor party.
Yeah, but that's when I heard that this guy was doing the remake of The Mummy. I was like, okay, this should be interesting. And then,
and it turns out
that they're different movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's got that same vibe that The Mummy does of the goofy but still serious enough to be fun.
Yeah,
that The Mummy has. It's got that same vibe.
So let's see. What were the three? Did we?
I know Treat Williams is always a treat. I had to say that. I had to.
Yeah.
It's contractually obligated.
So Price, let's throw out one some kind of underwater flick.
Okay, I'm going a little obscure.
Please.
Maybe I remember this vividly. Now I can't give you like plot beats that go through the whole thing, but I remember this vividly when I was a kid. I would have been like 10 years old or so. It was a made-for-TV movie. It was like a two-parter came on, and it was called Goliath Awaits. Now I don't know if do you guys remember Goliath Awaits?
Yes.
The main gist of it is like back in the olden days, like World War II, this ship gets sunk, and fast forward to modern times, which at modern times was like 40 years ago. So these divers they find the ship pretty much intact on the seafloor, and as they're swimming around, one of the divers like looks in a porthole, and there's a person's face looking at him. So the deal is this ship, basically there's like an air bubble or something. They somehow managed to find a way to scrub the air and create oxygen, and basically the people in the ship they survived, and they lived in this ship under the sea, down where it's wetter. Much better under the sea. But yeah, and so it was the story of these modern divers. They make their way onto the ship, and they find out that people have survived and had children. I don't understand the science of this.
I don't think they did either.
Science was a little sketchy, but and of course Christopher Lee is in it. He's the captain of the ship, and he's kind of running it like a sort of a mini dictatorship. And we can never go to the outside world. And it was just here's the thing. It probably wasn't very good. I'm just gonna be honest with you, but it made when you're 10, it's amazing.
Wasn't it like a 2-night miniseries?
I believe it was. Mm-hmm. But it had Mark Harmon, a young Mark Harmon in there, and like I said, Christopher Lee, and it had a big impact on me as a kid. I don't know if you can watch it anywhere, or
it had. Oh my gosh, this thing has an all-star cast, sir. Eddie Albert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a big. If I remember correctly, it was a big 2-night movie event on like ABC or something.
It has Cliffy. John Ratzenberger is in it, and the Riddler, Frank Gorshin. Oh my gosh!
Oh, Kevin Eldridge piping in with that information. Hello,
Nice.
Kevin. You're still not allowed back until we have cornflake again.
You beat me to it.
Yeah, so I'm not the only one who remembers Goliath Awaits, but yeah, it was.
Wow.
It probably does not hold up. I imagine a lot of stuff from that time doesn't, but it had a big impact on Little Pricey back in the day.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, that was right at the time that they had just found or thought they had found the Titanic. So there was this real craze about ships being sunken ships. There was the whole the Poseidon Adventure was huge.
Right.
That movie freaked me out. I watched it on TV, and one by one, everybody who I had seen on the Love Boat was murdered. One by one, everybody drowns.
Yeah, you see, what nobody tells you is the Poseidon Adventure is actually an alternate universe Love Boat.
But yeah, I remember when Shelley Winters, who says, "I'm a championship swimmer," when she goes off, I thought, she ain't making it back, man.
But she makes it to the other side, and that's the important part. She saves them.
And Ernest Borgnine, who I love, but I'm like, he's on McHale's Navy. How does he not survive? I think he does.
But... Kevin bringing more of the facts. It was a syndicated two-parter in November 16th and 17th, 1981. My birthday. Well, there we go.
So it was on.
Wow,
Gary, for goodness sake, it was on first the Star Wars Holiday Special debuts on your birthday, and now Goliath Awaits, like a few years later.
Everyone, you're welcome.
But speaking of around roughly that same time, speaking of things that had an effect on you when you were a kiddo, besides the Poseidon Adventure, which I will gladly scream about for another hour, but Man from Atlantis.
Yes, Patrick Duffy.
Oh my gosh!
I still remember the opening when he's got the web fingers and he's swimming through the water.
Yeah.
I remember that video.
My mother had the biggest hots for him in that show because he wore the little tiny the Olympic Speedos. Yeah.
I swam like he did or attempted to. Yeah, I said, well, look, he's from Atlantis. Clearly, that is how you're supposed to swim. So I attempted to do that when I swum as a youth.
Not a ute?
A ute. Did you guys? After you saw Man from Atlantis, I was really hoping that I had the webbed fingers, and I would do like this. I would be like, I think I've got them. I think I do have the webbed fingers. Turns out I didn't. But
didn't he have like the gills in a weird spot too? Like they weren't on his neck.
I feel like
Kevin Eldridge. We know you're watching. You'll know this.
Researcher.
But I dug it. It didn't, much like every good thing, it didn't last very long at all. But they never explained why he was the Man from Atlantis, because they never went to Atlantis. But
didn't he just like swim too close to the surface and get caught? I think was the pilot.
Yeah, that was it.
So he's like the Atlantis version of Icarus.
Yes.
Swam too close to the surface. Such hubris.
And there was an underwater station in the pilot from Man from Atlantis, and the villain was King Tut from Batman 66.
Oh yeah,
Victor Buono. And there was a lot of everyone was fully clothed except for Patrick Duffy. He had to
No
So happens
complaints.
when you're the man from Atlanta. How you know he's important?
Exactly.
All right, so Kevin let us down, but Sherman found it. Apparently, his gills were on his side.
Okay. All right.
Kind of makes sense.
Sure.
Lungs are there.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. But they had to probably. I'm guessing they probably put him in a swimming pool or the actual ocean. I don't know. And they did like the 1 or 2 shots, and then he never had to get in the water again. They're like, look, this afternoon you're swimming, and we're done. Because then they used the same shots of him doing this through the water. That was it.
Yep. And Peter David eventually had Aquaman swimming like that in the comics because apparently that's how dolphins swim, because they don't have like arms.
The scientific things you learn on the American Sci-Fi Classics Track.
Dolphins don't have arms.
Dolphins don't have arms.
What do you know about that?
Speaking of dolphins, okay, that reminds me. This wasn't a movie. This is a TV show. Remember, it was I guess early '90s. They said, "What if Star Trek, but the ocean?"
Yes.
I knew we would get here.
You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes. Deanna has been screaming this for about the last 10 minutes in the chat. So.
All right.
Oh, sorry, Deanna.
Had a dolphin on there who could talk, I believe, right?
Yeah. SeaQuest DSV, and then season 2 was SeaQuest 2032, which is only 12 years from now. So guys, we got to get on that dolphin technology.
Yes. And it's like, well, what if we get the guy who beat the shark?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it was a laudable project. It had Ted Raimi, so it had that going for it. But Deanna and Jessa are our SeaQuest fans.
What's not to love about SeaQuest?
There's nothing not to love about it. It was on Sunday night, so it would always preempt something else, or rather be preempted by something else. And I watched as I forget why. What was I doing Sunday nights? Feeding horses? I think I probably was. And that prevented me from watching SeaQuest DSV. But lots of Deloises in that show. That I remember.
All the Deloises.
Bevy of Deloises.
Which is what led to him going, I do pretty good at this sci-fi stuff. What if I pitch a show to a sci-fi channel called Stargate?
See? Worked out great.
Yes.
And Roy Scheider was in the first season, and he pretty much plays Roy Scheider in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because he also played Roy Scheider in Blue Thunder, which is like SeaQuest, but in the air.
Yes.
And there's no talking dolphins in that, which is ridiculous.
Very few, anyway. There's a couple.
That's true. That's true.
Well, you see, that was going to be a season 3 episode of Blue Thunder when they have the water-filled helicopter piloted by a dolphin. Because as a dolphin swims through the water, it's the way a helicopter would move through the air. Somebody's cut me off.
It was one of those very special episodes that we had back in the day. Where the dolphin learned not to do drugs or something. Yes. I don't know.
But then
after school specials.
Yeah. But then season 2, we swapped out Scheider for
Ironside.
Oh yeah, Michael Ironside. I was gonna attempt to do this whole panel tonight without mentioning SeaQuest, but I'm glad we did, because that way our friend
Deanna would have come after us.
Heavily involved in SeaQuest fandom, apparently. She would not have yelled at me for the next 6 months until we do another SeaQuest panel. But what about Waterworld?
Oh.
What about Waterworld?
What about Waterworld? Has anyone
Waterworld
ever said that on the internet before? What about Waterworld?
The biggest problem with Waterworld for me is Kevin Costner is in this serious, ecologically driven drama about the cost of not paying attention to the environment. And Dennis Hopper is in a wild Mad Max post-sci-fi movie where you do nothing but eat the scenery. These two movies should not cross. Because if you watch it, Dennis Hopper is just so over the top. Like the fact that his big cargo vessel at the end is revealed to be the Exxon Valdez. And he's got a portrait of the captain.
It is Dennis Hopper, to be fair.
To be, indeed.
They hired him to be Dennis Hopper.
What did you expect from Dennis Hopper?
Right.
The man played Bowser, for God's sake.
Come on. Come on. That was
and nailed it, by the way. Nailed it.
Crushed it.
And I'm just saying, don't open your movie with your hero drinking his own pee.
That was...
Maybe, save that for the midpoint.
Agree to disagree. Agree to disagree on that.
You can only go up from there.
With the hero drinking their own pee. Every movie would improve every movie.
I gotta say,
so the next Batman movie.
Oh, especially the next Batman. Especially the next.
Because look, this way he doesn't need Alfred. He can just drink his own pee. Surely Batman has figured that out.
God, what has happened to this discussion?
Batman is a scientist. He has figured this out.
He's going into it with his bat urine, which is his urine, not Bat's urine. He has to make sure that distinction. He has to make that distinction to people. Break out the bat urine. No, it's mine.
It's mine, I swear. And then Robin goes, "That's not better." What are you doing?
Where's Mr. Fox for 2 seconds?
But
Waterworld gets a really bad rap, but it's not terrible.
The crazy thing is that everyone assumed, as I recall, I might be wrong. As I recall, everyone assumed Waterworld was going to be a gigantic bomb because, oh my gosh, it cost $1 bajillion in 1990 something money, which was $2 bajillion now. I don't know. But everybody assumed this is gonna be like 2 people are gonna go see it, and then it made an actual bajillion. I think it did great.
Kevin Costner was riding high at the time. He had done Dances with Wolves. He'd done Untouchables. He was on a hot streak.
Pete Costner.
Yes.
That's it.
Fish tar. I remember that joke, Kevin.
Fish tar?
Yeah, people were calling it fish tar.
Nice.
Fish tar.
Well, that'll show them. That'll learn them. They but no, this was and then right after that, he did The Postman, didn't he?
Yes.
Yep.
Costner.
Yeah, he did a few post-apocalyptic movies.
Waterworld on Land. That was the Postman.
Yes.
Post-world. You will believe a man can post.
You will believe a man can deliver mail. But Waterworld, much like The Abyss, wasn't it? They totally did film it on the ocean, and everyone got sick. I remember reading that. No one enjoyed it.
Yeah, the main reason it cost so much is they built that giant floating island set in the ocean instead of using a tank, and it sank, and they had to build it all over again.
What? I didn't know that.
And here I was worried that maybe they just forgot to bring water.
The next one sank. Then the next one caught on fire, fell over, and sank. And we built on top of that one, and that's the one that they
It's great.
So in a movie about Pete Danger is a
can we not just now I want a whole documentary about we tried to make Waterworld.
Oh, bring up Kevin's comment there.
And then Kevin's, of course, they got sick. Remember what they were
Costner pee for everybody.
You think he's like, no, that's just in the script. We don't actually have to do it, Kevin. No, this is
until they were like, they wanted the whole crew to go method.
Method actor Kevin Costner. actually drinking his own pee.
Dude's committed. I respect that.
All right, respect. So
Right,
what?
this sucks.
Have we forgotten anything?
Dozens.
What?
The
Dozens,
Deep,
yes.
all the different Jaws knockoffs, The Beast, which was Peter Benchley's. What if Jaws was a giant squid? There is a lot of
The
them out
Meg?
there. The
An
Meg.
actual
Meg.
voyage to the bottom of the sea.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which is distance, not depth. That's a problem. I think a lot of people don't realize
I
that.
remember distinctly there was a Saturday Night Live sketch specifically about Phil Hartman as Captain Nemo explaining why it was distance, not depth.
Yes.
Also,
And
thank you,
that's it.
Kevin, for bringing the animation into this conversation. That's gonna be the
Yes.
next one.
Snorks, of course. Of course. When Smurfs is too dry, you're like, why aren't these blue things underwater?
You've always secretly wondered what seahorses do.
Yes. But
Yeah, we haven't talked about Aquaman and the Aquaman animated series from the Filmation in the 70s.
that's a lot. I just love Aquaman, and I always will, and I don't care what anybody says. And I think you guys may back me up on this, but the poor man had to sit in the invisible jet with Wonder Woman and do nothing while she flew him around until they discovered jet scooters on Super Friends. And now he's got an awesome movie with Jason Momoa playing himself, basically.
Also
And-
impossible for Wonder Woman.
Yeah, same deal. But no, Aquaman is a terrific movie, and it's
so much fun.
hilarious.
It's so much fun. It's not deep by any means, which is ironic considering it's
Yeah.
about the ocean. But it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
It has an octopus playing the drums. What more could you ask?
I mean, that just shows that they knew their Aquaman comics, and they went back and said, you know what? We're going to get that octopus playing drums in this thing.
And Julie Andrews is the voice of Cthulhu because,
Wait, what?
yeah, the giant Cthulhu monster at the end, that's Julie Andrews doing the voice.
Oh my God!
Mind blown.
Didn't you notice Cthulhu's wonderful singing voice?
Yes.
Like an angel Cthulhu was singing. Like an angel. I can't believe you didn't notice that.
I'm going to recuse myself for the rest of the evening.
Although, actually, I think that's why we came up with the panel. Was I was talking to Gary about Underwater, which is the recent Kristen Stewart movie. And speaking of Cthulhu,
Yeah, what?
Yeah, it's got Cthulhu at the end. Originally, they were going to come up with their own creature, and then they realized that Cthulhu was public domain, so they went, "Oh, okay."
Was it Cthulhu?
Yeah.
Was this in the Kristen Stewart movie?
Yes.
Yep.
Which is
So-
dull until about the last 20 minutes, and then it's like, "Oh,
Sure.
Cthulhu," and then
right.
Was Kristen Stewart fight Cthulhu?
Yeah.
Does she bore it to death?
Come on!
She wins?
She
Let's
bores
see.
the audience to death, that's for sure. Because you think, oh yes, big boss battle with Cthulhu, this is gonna
No.
be good.
no, if,
Wait,
if you want a big
Cthulhu
boss
falls in
battle
love with her,
underwater,
doesn't he?
Mhm.
He falls in love with her. I knew
Sure.
it.
well, but then there's a love triangle with Dagon, and
It happens.
Speaking of,
It happens.
But
speaking of
speaking of giant
twists-
boss battles underwater, it's Pacific Rim if you want that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of love underwater, what about The Shape of Water?
Oh,
So-
I love that movie so
Tap
much.
out of that one.
Price.
Saving it.
I just had a birthday this week.
Oh, happy birthday.
I turned 50 because I'm
Yeah.
old.
Yep, me too.
But my family, one of the little gifts they got me was they got me a Cameo. You guys are familiar with Cameo, right?
hmm
from Doug Jones.
What?
Nice.
The guy was amazing. The guy was amazing. Normally you get these little, they'll give you a little 30-second, hey, happy birthday, and your wife Shannon said to, and the guy talked for 10 minutes.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Just telling stories from his life, and it was amazing.
He's a
I want
lovely
one.
man. I got to meet him at DragonCon. He's a lovely human being.
He just seems like just the greatest guy in the world.
Yeah. The
That was
dance.
the coolest.
I would love to do. Let's do a full month intensive with Doug Jones. That
Yeah,
man
we could-
has so
we
many
could totally
stories.
do a Doug Jones panel. We could absolutely do
We'll
that.
do a celebration of Doug
Heck yeah.
Jones.
But yeah, the sequence in The Shape of Water with the dance in black, it's in black and white. Now it sounds silly, but it's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And that movie deserved the Oscar that it won. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it really was. And of course, Del Toro is great.
Oh,
Guillermo
well,
del
yeah.
Toro is great. But Doug
Good.
Jones is great. And this was the second time he was Abe Sapien in the first Hellboy too.
And the two Hellboys.
Oh, he was Abe Sapien in both. Okay.
Yeah. He was Abe
he did
Sapien in both. He didn't do the voice in the first one. They got David Hyde Pierce. But in the second one, David Hyde Pierce actually, when they contacted him, he was like, look, Doug Jones sounds like me. He's in the suit. Just let him do it. It's like one of the few times an actor turns down work.
He's yeah. Well, that is terrific. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm penciling in Doug Jones panel. We're totally going to do that. But guys, thank you. We could go another hour. There are, as you guys have said, there's dozens more things that we haven't delved into. But
Would you say the subject is fathomless?
all right,
I like where your head's at.
Fathoms below.
can't. Nope. Gary's out. Booted. Fine.
I need
What's
that
an
button.
episode?
He
Fine.
fought his way out of limbo.
He almost made it the entire episode. But guys, thank you very, very much. We will see you. We love doing these. We love that you guys come hang out with us for an hour or so once a week. We will see you very, very soon. But first, let's
big
go
shout
around.
outs to our viewers, Otaj and Kevin Eldridge and Lola and Sherman. Everybody, thank you for showing up and watching. And thank you for remembering to let StreamYard know if you have your name.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. So, wherever you are on the interwebs, if you want people to be able to find you, where
Come on,
can that
Craig.
be? Jessa?
You can search for Good to Be a Geek. Just don't go to the website. It's down right now. But you can search for it, or you can find me personally under Sultry Mix Zoe.
Okay.
Or look
Price?
for Gary.
Oh, look for Gary and Jessa's around there
Yeah,
somewhere.
and we're connected. It's fine.
Yeah. Price.
You can find me on Twitter, where I do next to nothing and pretty much only post something maybe once a month. But I'm on there. It's at SPricehorn, SPRICEHORN. Thank you guys for letting me join you tonight and play in your sandbox, which now that I say that sounds dirty and I wish I hadn't said it.
Well, and the dirty little secret is, now that you've done one, you're stuck. It's actually quicksand, and now you can't get out.
That's
You
right.
will be back.
Exactly. 87 more panels for you, sir. That's happening. And fourthly, Gary, where can people find you?
You can find me here on the Twitter. You can find me making his life difficult and her life hopefully wonderful. My lovely fiance, or vice versa, or annoying Deanna, who was screaming, "Not me!" But Deanna also forgot to give StreamYard permission to use her name. I only know it's her because I can tell the tone of her screaming.
Tone. But guys, thank you very much.
And you can find me here every week with him.
Yes. Look at that. Stop it. We will we will see you in 1 week's time. And I believe next week's topic is the Ultimate Michaels tournament.
Yes, we may actually have to use someone's Zoom for this one.
Now, we're not sponsored by the home goods place that's called Michaels. That's not what we're talking about. We seem to have a plethora of panelists and buddies named Michael. So next week, we're going to have a tournament to see which one is the best one.
The ultimate Michael or Michelle. Michelle, yes. are involved.
So I'm
rooting for a Michelle to come out on top.
Oh, I think it's going to happen. I think it very well could happen. But that is next week. So thank you guys very, very much. Thank you for following us on the YouTubes and on the Facebook. Tell your friends. Tell people you don't even like, because this is the best, and we love doing this, and we will see you very soon, much like next week, when you will hear Gary Mitchell say,
"Why am I even here? I'm not named Michael."
Ha! Thank you. Nice. Thank you guys.
And yes,
very
Deanna,
much.
we know that more people than you. There's at least one more.
There's 2 more, Bobby Nash.
That's right.
What? I'm not even paying attention to the chat. I'm trying to manipulate buttons. That's going on.
Oh, you manipulate my buttons every week, Joe.
That's going on a t-shirt.
What is happening?
Nothing good.
It's all falling apart. Thank you guys very, very much.
Reaching out to Jessa.